what happened today?
So today, pretty much earlier. So earlier, it's probably around like noon.
Mm-hmm.
Got a random phone call from Daisha.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
it was a FaceTime call.
It was her number, right?
Her number.
Okay.
It was never his number.
Okay.
I answered it. I saw his face.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. I know they be around each other sometimes. I'm like, all right, whatever. So then he proceeds to say, I think it was either, hey, what's up, or yo, what's up. I'm not sure, but it was something, what's up.
Okay.
I said the same thing back to him. He proceeds at that point, turn the camera towards, a different direction. He points it at the different direction. I see that they're in the bed, and I see that they. Are you telling me? Are you telling me?
Not yet,
Okay.
no.
So from there, when he shows, I see that they're laying in bed together. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, I don't care.
Okay.
At that point, I disconnect the phone call.
Just anything? Did y'all say anything to each other? Did y'all speak for a little bit?
Outside of, hey, yo, what's up? Like, that was about it. It was really no talking. I was just kind of just staring there. I saw that they were there. He was like, I think he said something about, oh yeah, we just had sex and I'll show you a video.
Okay.
I was like, okay, like, I don't care. Like, what to do? It's her prerogative.
Brother, you cared so much that you took your ass on over there when you knew where they were sending you to. And you could have offered to be like, nope, I'm not going there. Send somebody else. Salute, squad. Today's video is a part 2 to the video that we did the other morning about the police officer who came, he responded to a situation he created. Well, of course, they was going to brief his ass back at the station. So I got that clip now. Let's listen. Let's be nosy.
So, hung up the phone.
Okay.
There, driving around, doing, regular work and whatnot, answering calls. Now I'm on East Ponce heading towards Peachtree Creek because I'm about to do a 790 over there.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing that there was a Chrysler 300 that I've seen before.
And you said you on what road? North Indian Creek?
No, East Ponce.
East Ponce, okay.
So at that point, I see that there's a hand waving out the window with a phone. It's a purple phone. So I'm like, okay. So I pull over, pull up next to the car. So I recognize it's him. So I'm like, hey, what's up? And he was like, we started talking a little bit.
What time was this?
I'm not sure. Probably like 5.
5.
5, maybe like 4:40 something. Somewhere between 4:30 and 5. Around that ballpark.
Okay, so you were on East Ponce. Was that when I passed you on the way into work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so what intersection was it at?
No, it was at the entrance of my apartment. He was at the entrance of my apartment.
So it was at Sage Point?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I asked him, I said, hey, look, we're blocking the roadway. Do you mind if we pull back into the apartment complex so we're not blocking the road?
What did he say to you?
And he said, no, I don't feel comfortable with doing it. I said, okay, cool. Well, do you mind moving to the next parking lot over if you want to talk? He was like, yeah.
What did he flag you down for? Did he say initially?
Yeah, he was like, he basically just said, yo, come on, man. And that was pretty much it. Like,
So that's all he said?
At the initial. And then once we started talking, then that's when he was talking about the other stuff. And I was like, look, so get into the next parking lot. And I'm like, all right, look. Clearly, there's some type of miscommunication here.
Well, what did he say leading up to that before you spoke to him? What did he say what the issue was? Because he said he flagged you down as if it was a 911 call, right?
That's the way he did it. He just waved out the window.
And then what?
And
You stopped?
I stopped, pulled in, and I pulled him next to him.
Okay.
And then that's when I recognized it was him. I was
Okay.
like, hey, what's up? And he was like, yo, come on, man. That's what we doing.
So it wasn't, at that point, it was clear that it wasn't a 911 call. He wasn't flagging you down for an emergency.
No. There was no emergency at all.
Okay.
So we're
And that became immediately clear to you that it wasn't an emergency?
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was an emergency. I was
No,
talking over the
right.
radio.
But as soon as you saw him, it was like, come on, you knew it wasn't an emergency, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at that point, now we're going to the next parking lot. Now we're talking.
Inside Sage Point?
No. And 14th over there by the laundromat.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking over there and whatnot because we don't want to, block people or customers and whatnot. He was like, yeah, man, like I'm kind of just done with her, so on and so forth. I'm like, hey, man, look, honestly, the way it kind of looks, like she's saying one thing to you, but it's saying probably something else to me, and it just seems like what she wants is more of a polyatomic relationship. He was like, what's that? So I explained to him because I had a friend that wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, they want someone who can be their main piece, but they also want to do stuff with other people. And I'm like-
Polyamorous.
and so I was like, I said, at that point, I think we need to have a sit down conversation, all three of us, and actually talk about what is it that she wants.
This dude is a weirdo. I'm gonna tell you right now. He give me perv, sexual predator vibes, guys. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The way he sit up there and said that, this the reason why these women, these hellified women, walk around here feeling that they got all of these options. Why the hell would you want to sit down with another man to talk about sharing a female? What the fuck?
That's what you said.
And that's what I said. And then he kept interrupting. He was like, nah, like, I don't really want to talk to her and whatnot, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, I understand. Like, at that point, I'm like, yeah, cool. And he was like, yeah, man, we have a baby or something. And he said some other stuff. And then he said, she
So
took
they-
my keys. And I was like, she took your keys. He was like, yeah. I said, why she take your keys? And then he just kind of just looked at me. I'm like, but still, like, it has, like, you can easily just say, oh, well, because we had an argument about you. And then that's when she took the keys.
Did he have a busted lip at this time too?
At that time, that's when he eventually mentions that he has a busted lip. And then I saw him looking. And then that's when he was like, so I ain't trying to do all this. I'm just going to figure out a way to get my apartment. Bye. And I was like, okay.
Okay, so after you guys had your discussion, he left.
Yeah. And that's why I texted Daisha. And I said, look, being serious. There needs to be a serious sit-down conversation.
And what time did you text her?
So it was probably around, because it was right after him. So yeah, 4:49.
Let me see. Is your personal phone or work phone? No, just from the day. Okay, so you didn't get a response, and you texted her at 5:49, 4:49.
4:49.
Okay.
And then at that point, I drove back here. If I didn't drive back here, then I might have stopped somewhere else and then drove back here. But pretty much came back here. Dropped off my tickets, talked to Sarge real quick, and then got back in the car because I was going to drive him out around some more. At that point, that's when Johnson was like, oh shit, those people's, having another incident. And I'm like, oh gosh. And next you know, I hear 616 can't be en route. So I'm like, okay, well, I kind of know what the situation is. So I'm just going to get his information and I'll call for backup if I need backup.
And it was at that point where you thought it was a good idea to risk your job to go be nosy on a situation you knew you should not have responded to. It was that part right there, my guy. You ain't go to collect no information. You went there because now you're intrigued and you was being nosy, like how we do.
I get there, it's kind of calm at first. That's why I said, hey, 10:25. So I get there, I see that she's there. At first I thought it was him who called. Until I saw that it said something about took phone and meet with a silver Hyundai. So I was like, well, no, he drives a Chrysler. So that's not him, that must be her.
So that was. So you came back here, right? What time did you come back here?
I'm not even sure. You guys, it's on, I'm not sure. It was sometime after that.
Okay.
So probably around 5 exactly, possibly. And then I left from there.
And you talked to her in Corolla.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Johnson told you that there was a call pending, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got dispatched to that call. I didn't request for the call.
Okay. So you got dispatched to the call, and then you went out there, and then what happened?
So as I'm looking at the call notes, I'm thinking it's him who's calling. And once I noticed that it wasn't him who's calling, that's as I'm in the actual apartment complex at this point. And then I see her in the vehicle, of course, that was described. So I'm like, oh, okay, so it's her who called. So then.
And she was inside the car?
Yeah, she was in the car. So behind, she stopped. I got out of the car. I was like, hey, all right, what was going on? What you need, 911 for? She was like, he got my phone, and it was like some other item. And I want my phone back. And I was like, all right, just one sec. And then some lady, I guess their neighbor, walked up and started asking questions. She was like, hey, I'm trying to get out. And I was like, hey, can you, move down so she can get out? So she moves down. Talking to the lady, I'm like, she's like, everything okay? I said, yeah, it's just the same old stuff that you've already called a couple times about.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, but you're good to go, and we'll get it all straightened out. So then I go back over there. I'm like, all right, look, call 911. Start from the beginning. What do you need 911? She stated again, cell phone, and then some other item. I said, okay, cool. We're gonna, handle the cell phone situation. Do you have any way of communicating with a cell phone that doesn't mean my phone? And she was like, no. So I was like, all right, well, I'll grab my phone in case we need to call your phone. And then I told her at that point, I said, look, he's already notified me of certain things. And then she was like, he's lying.
How did she say he took her phone?
He just said that he just took it. Like, I guess when he had it, when he called me, that's when he took it. So I guess he was already in possession, but she never really stated 100% concrete.
Like when or how she took her phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole phone taking situation, I'm just kind of like, this can be easily resolved. I told her about the keys. I told her about saying something about like the keys to the house or something. I said you can't prevent him from going in the house, and he can't prevent you from going in the house.
Right.
I said that's a civil matter. He can take that up with the courts if he wants to kick you out. As he stated earlier, I'm done with her. I just want her out of my house. I just want her out of my house. I'm like, all right, cool. So I said I will say all this in front of both of y'all, so there's a clear understanding. So not one person is hearing one thing and the other person hearing something else. I said, just hold on real tight. And I said, actually, are you able to knock on the door and get him out of the apartment without causing an issue? She said, nah, I ain't gonna be able to do that. I said, all right, but you wait over there, let me get the phone, I will go up there and knock on the door. Go grab my phone, about to walk to the door, stand at the top of the stairs, and their little dog or whatever is on the bottom of the stairs. I said, hey man, are you able to come down here and talk? He's like, yeah. I said, all right, look, we got a call for this. Do you have the phone? He said, no, I don't have the phone. And I was like, all right. Now we go, I said, well, I have my phone. We'll, we'll figure out the whole phone situation and we'll move on. If there's some other issues that need to be handled. He was like, yeah, I would like to, file a report. And I was like, all right, cool. About what? He was like, my busted lip. And I said, all right, cool. So at this point, I'm already having a game plan of, all right, I'm gonna eventually raise whoever and get them to come over. Because they were calm at this point, so I'm like, all right, I can get some more information out of them before I need to call. Then that's when they start arguing about keys and shit. And I'm like, okay, can we stop doing that? Can we act like civilized adults and talk about this? Where are the keys to the apartment? She says, I don't have the keys to the apartment. And I'm like, all right, well, where's the phone? He says, I don't have the phone. I'm like, all right, are we able to go upstairs and look for this phone without there being issues? We went upstairs, looked for the phone. They're arguing back and forth, so on and so forth. I'm like, look, we're not arguing, we're not doing none of this no more. Stop arguing, and I'm trying to handle this. And he kept bringing up stuff like, oh, you're gonna take her side. I'm not taking no one's side. You say you want to report, you have a bruise on your lip. I'm not taking no one's side. I'm just trying to handle what needs to be handled, and y'all preventing me from doing that. So then I think at that point I didn't observe it, but I heard a loud bang. Then he stated she hit my what you call thing. I said, hey, don't do that. I told her that. So at that point, we're back in the back. They're both staying in the hall. He bleached my stuff. She bleached my stuff. Okay, so you got bleach clothes. Shout out. That's the next bit of information. Then they calmed down for a second. Now we're back in the living room talking, trying to figure out the whole phone thing. I think he stepped outside or something. And so I was like, no, he was standing near the door. And then that's when I was like, all right. I told him, I said, do you want a report? I'm verifying this right now, loud as day. Because they kept yelling back and forth, so I'm not sure if Bodycam caught it. He said he wants a report. He said, yes, I want to file a report.
Okay.
That's when I key up and say, hey, I thought your number was 621. That's my bad. That's my error.
It doesn't matter.
I was like, hey, so-and-so, can you be en route? That's what I hear Sarge say that you was en route. He was, all right, cool, you got someone. That's when he told me, all right, cool, you got someone en route, cool. Call your people. So I was like, that's what I did. Got someone en route. Goes outside. She's sitting down there. I told him, I said, hey, look, I'm gonna make sure she don't touch your stuff. Just please don't leave. And then I told her, I said, look, I'm not gonna be able to be sitting inside, and if he's outside, he just dips. He's saying he wants a report, but he's also trying to leave at the same time. And so I told her, I said, look, do not touch nothing in here. Do not break nothing. You sit here. I went outside and I stood there. Then he came back, walked upstairs. We're inside. I think you said you were 10-7 or something. So at that point, I was like, yeah, we're upstairs on the back side of the building. You come upstairs, that's when you enter, and that's when you see the rest of that.
All right. All right. And your body cam was on the whole time?
Yep.
All right, cool.
We gonna call him Officer Sidestep, y'all. Because he's bullshit, boy. This boy is full of shit. And his only concern was once he found out that the girl's phone was missing and the guy took it. Because he got some incriminating things, photos that is, in that girl's phone. And God forbid that boy starts sharing those photos of this police officer, this public figure, on social media. And that's how they doing things nowadays. So that was his concern. That's why he didn't turn down that call. That's why he went there and tried to personally dissolve the situation. But that took him out of his professionalism. Now, you guys kept the comments rolling in. I mean, you guys gave me some great comments. And I would love to share all of the comments, but I just ain't got enough time today. So I'll probably be doing a separate video where I'll go over some of the good comments that came in on this video. Because this was one of the most damning situations we had ever gone over on this channel over here, guys. So y'all go on, let's take it to the comment section. Let me hear what you got to say about this one. Like, share, subscribe if you're new over here. 2 videos will pop up. One is a playlist. The other one is yesterday's video. This video, the first part of this video. Click into that so you can get a bigger picture of what we just broke down today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.